Right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Coffee Shop Conversation Show. This is a show where we bring entrepreneurs from around the world together and we bring you as much value as we possibly can. This is where we get together and we spend our time figuring out how we can improve ourselves as entrepreneurs and get into those topics that nobody really wants to give us the answers to. So, topic for today. I'm actually loving this because this is right up my alley because this is all about community. So the topic for today is how can small business owners and entrepreneurs help each other? It's a very simple topic. It's one of those things where I think we can actually highlight things that people didn't know that they actually should be doing. And I know that a lot of business owners and a lot of entrepreneurs from around the world have this mentality of it's just me against the world. Well, hello, news to you. You're not on your own and we shouldn't be on our own and we should actually be doing this together. So if anybody in the panel has something to add to this topic, feel free to raise your hands. We'll just cue you into the conversation. Let's just let this roll as fluidly as possible. Oh, Mr. Colby, please join us.
So that's a great question, is how can small business owners support each other? And often, you're looking at a bit of, like I always say, it's a bit of a closed community and closed economy, because there's only so much economy within there that you can use to support each other. As a small business owner, I can't necessarily maybe afford somebody else's services. So how do I support them? It doesn't necessarily actually meaning, okay, so Peter, I know what you do and I'm going to give you a business. Supporting each other is, like you say, being part of the community. It's also looking at ways to build those fine, great relationships with the people that you know, so that when you're having meetings with other people and it comes up that, I'm struggling to find the right copywriter who can do really good technical copy in a way that people can understand. Now, I've built a relationship with Megan, and I know that is Megan's sweet spot right there. So straight off the bat, I'm going to say, hey, you got to speak to my friend Megan. She is brilliant with that. And you set up the introduction. And also help each other dream big. Why do we need to see as small business owners to only go for small projects and small business? Go out there, go outside of that initial community of people and start looking for that bigger business that's out there, those bigger projects. Think global and encourage each other to build that business and band together. Because I've got a great team. I've got a copywriter, I've got a graphic designer, I've got a web developer, I've got a marketing specialist, a sales specialist, a virtual assistant, a group of, I've got a lot of people. I band them together and we could take on any big corporate company tomorrow without a challenge. And that's how you support each other in the process.
Oh, I like that, Chris. And nothing beats entrepreneur. I mean, we can literally change our direction as entrepreneurs on a dime. We can just there's no red tape. We can go, well, what direction are we going in now? Oh, look, okay, something shiny. Let's go in this direction. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And to be honest, I actually think that entrepreneurs are the answer to this. They have the solution because they can. Everything else just takes way too long. It's just dragged out. Just so everybody knows, in the audience, if one of the panel members or the guests are actually saying something that really resonates with you, their links will be in the description. Feel free to reach out, have a conversation. That's where it all starts. Starts with a cup of coffee, a good conversation, and just see what happens. You never know. Megan, you were mentioned. Come join us. It's like you and Chris have joined at the hip.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Chris, for that nice referral there. Yes, I think one of the key points that holds true for me in this space is just be there to help each other. Doesn't matter what form that support materializes as. At the end of the day, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get into a situation where we need advice, we need support. We just need somebody to talk us through the dark points. And I think for me, that has been a lifesaver in my space, because I've got so many of the people on the screen that I can just drop a WhatsApp message to, can pick up the phone and say, I'm not feeling it today. Help me get through it. And before you even start with referrals and getting one another jobs and work in different arenas, I think just being there, being human, and being able to offer yourself as a pillar to someone that's in the same space as you. That, I think, for me has been the most amazing part of my journey. Thank you.
Oh, wow. So you mentioned dropping a WhatsApp. I mean, how well do you have to know somebody to be able to just drop a WhatsApp? I think it highlights a lot of where we should be going.
Yes.
You know, this whole thing of business and entrepreneurs and this quick business and everything's fast. And I think people need to slow their roles and understand that every single thing that we do is based on relationship.
Yes.
So you should have people around you that you can just drop a WhatsApp. I mean, if you don't, change your strategy. You definitely should have people surrounding you.
Absolutely. Sorry, Peter,
Let's
can I just add to that? I've actually found
yeah.
that is such an opener of doors for me. When I'm having my one-on-one coffee with people, just meeting them for the first time virtually or face-to-face, I share my WhatsApp number with them and say, if you need anything, if you're stuck with anything, even if I can't help you, I've got a group of people that that back me, that I can introduce you to get you past that point. And it's such a huge opener. So whether I've spoken to someone once or multiple times and regularly, I still share that option with them. And that's been a game changer.
Awesome. Now, I recall having a very interesting conversation with, and I will call him a gentleman because he was, Neil. We had an amazing conversation the other day. Just from your history, I think that what you have to say on this topic would be quite interesting. I'm sure that the rest of the panel will be quite curious to know where you would take this.
As you saw, I had my hand up anyway. My experience, at least the experience I was going to draw on, because I lived abroad outside the UK for 16 years. I lived in Switzerland, which meant I was living in an expat community. And the thing that struck me, particularly about the Englishman abroad, is he networks like nobody else you've ever seen. The expat community, they worked for and with each other. During my time there, I worked with everything from penniless students to Silicon Valley. And the Silicon Valley, it was 3 of us got together and made business with a company called Autodesk. If you've never heard of Autodesk, they do 3D computer-aided design software. They are the Microsoft of 3D computer-aided design. And so they were one of the biggest on the planet. And they had all the big boys hunting their business, and 3 of us walked in there and took it from them. And that was a team effort. There was a computer geek, a guy who was an expert on business continuity planning, and I did the training and design work. And we just pulled ourselves together. And it was trust was the key. Megan's been talking about having people who she can WhatsApp. You have to know that you can trust those people not to make an abuse of you. And that is, for me, the biggest single issue with all of this. It's not just, do these people know what I need to know? Can I trust these people being part of my business at the same time? What do other people think about that?
Yeah, that's brilliant. And it's we interrupt this for a new host on the show. Peter's laptop dropped off, so he's going to join us again. So I'll take over for now. But Neil, exactly what you're saying is absolutely perfect. It boils down to trust. And like we're saying, those relationships that you build, that builds the trust that when I hear a keyword like X, Y, or Z, I know I can trust so-and-so. Or if I do a collaboration with them, I know and trust that they can do it together with me. And run the process with me.
Yeah, it doesn't always necessarily work that way. People have 2 heads. They have a business head and they have a personal head. And I have found that sometimes the person's business head can't be trusted the way you would trust them as a friend. So you've always got to be that little bit cautious. But yeah, working in an alien environment, in an alien culture, which is what I was doing, I needed to be able to find the right people and trust them. But even the people I didn't know well, because I was new to the country, wanted to help. So I do the same thing now. I find people who are new to business, I want to help. Whether I want to be working with them or not is a different issue. I want to help them develop themselves, because that develops the economy and makes everything stronger for all of us.
And everybody wins. It's brilliant. Thanks very much, Neil. Let's hear, Marlena's had her hand up for quite a while. I'm sure she has some great insight to share with us on how small business owners can support each other. I'm looking forward to your wisdom, Marlena.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. And I do agree with everyone who spoke before me, and especially Neil, about trust. Because without trust, nothing can develop. No relationship can develop to any degree. When you embark as a small business owner on your own, the loneliness is the very first thing that hits, because we have no one to use as sounding boards. And I think everyone who spoke before me mentioned that. So I always find it very useful in supporting another business owner that I reach out to, is to find out exactly why they do what they do. And not necessarily what's your why, as in your slogan, but from their heart space, actually, what is it that's driven them into this kind of business? Has it been a lifelong thing? Is it something that emerged halfway through their life? Because that helps me understand who they are. And then it helps me also develop a deeper relationship with them in terms of trust. It also allows myself and them, so whoever you're communicating with, to set some kind of healthy boundary. Because if you know what I do and the reason I do it, and I've shared that with you, I would assume that the other person has done the same, and that will build a trust relationship. If you don't feel comfortable to do that, then have a few cups of coffee before you actually share your details to that degree. And then we'll, perhaps sometimes it happens the first time around, like Megan said, where we connect instantly. And with other people, don't let them just go, because there might be a real diamond there that you may have missed. So continue to connect and support business owners, even if you're not understanding them intellectually or emotionally. That connection is worth pursuing. So that's my final 5 cents there. And I'm Marlena from Self and More, learning how to work with your own emotions.
Peter, you're muted. Try again.
That would be better. Am I working now? Oh, great. It's been a fantastic morning. So we have this thing in our country called load shedding, and it seems to have made my battery rather flat. But yeah, Neil, I heard that you shared some amazing insights. You know, to me, this is absolutely an amazing space, because it's almost a portrait of what we should be doing as entrepreneurs. I mean, you can see all the amazing guests. You can see all the members, the guests. Lots of these people know each other. Some of them don't know each other. By the time this meeting ends, they will know each other. I mean, how difficult can it be to actually show support to entrepreneurs around the world? I don't think it's that difficult. It just takes a certain mindset. And Marlena, you mentioned diamonds. You know, speaking of diamonds, Gordon, we were supposed to have if I'm not mistaken, like a 30-minute call the other day, which ended up turning into like an hour and something odd, which was absolutely fantastic. So I'd love to hear what you have to say on this topic.
It did. It was awesome. I appreciate being here, Peter. And I find I'm coming from a group called Connectors Leaders Academy. And one of the things I find, there's about 200 people from all over the world, 11 countries, similar to this. And what I find when we have virtual coffees, and I had one with Megan, amazing lady. And so some of these, what I find is that in terms of, to the point of the topic this morning, we were supposed to be talking about what people do and how they do it and get to know them a little bit. And what I'm finding after more than 111 conversations with people, different people in the group, I'm finding it's not so much about, we do find out a little bit about what they do and how they do it, but what we're really finding out is showing us their heart. So I show them my heart. I'm transparent and vulnerable with them in terms of building trust, and they're transparent and vulnerable with me. And so that trust builds. And what I find is that bonds us together in a way that just finding out what they do and how they do it really isn't gonna do. And so I talk a lot about the difference between what we do and who we be. And I think, we're human beings, not human doings. So who we're being and who we're becoming is the bigger deal. And to the point of several of the people that who was that, Marlene had talked about being lonely. Sometimes it's hard when you're a solopreneur and there's nobody, right? If you go into the office, if you're in corporate, there's lots of people around to talk to. When you're doing this, and a lot of times, especially with COVID, where it's shut it all off and no one's going out and we're not going into others. So we're not congregating the way we're used to congregating. And now we show up online in these meetings. This type of a group is invaluable, not just for business, but for connection, right? Just to feel connected to people again. And so, like I say, I think the heart part of it, and I'm a big lead with love, and lead from my heart, I think is a bigger deal. And I think that's what makes the small group more, it's stronger because than the big corporations, because the big corporations really don't give a crap. All in these other groups, right? Everybody seems to care about each other, right? Whether they know each other or not, they understand there's a common theme that everybody kind of goes, no, I understand your challenges. I have the same challenges. So there's a commonality to that.
Oh, no, I think that highlights it actually very well. And as a community, and there's multiple different ways of forming communities around the world. And I think it's our responsibility as members of a community to ensure that our communities are built in such a way that we can actually have relationships. I've stepped into communities where people just don't know each other. They're just in the same space. Then you're just taking up air. You're stealing oxygen in a space that you just shouldn't be in. It's up to us, and it's our responsibility that if we are in a space, that we actually should be reaching out to people, and not only reaching out to people, but teaching others to do the same. Because we're not designed as humans or entrepreneurs to do things on our own. I mean, can we achieve things on our own? Yes. But those relationships are the support that we need to get there. So I think it's very important. Lisecha, don't you want to come and join this conversation?
Hey, Peter. Yes. Greetings, everyone. Funny enough, this is a topic that we were chatting on Facebook last night, and it's maybe phrased differently. It's what can we do to help each other as small businesses, especially in the townships. And the one thing that came through quite a lot was trust. I mean, if we have to trust each other with each other's money, where we're doing stock fares and all that, do we trust one another that I will not run away with your R5? I mean, how do we do this thing? So it was very interesting, and a lot of people also quoted other nationalities. And if you look in the townships, I think it's in all townships, you'll find either Somalis or that working together to grow themselves. They never run out of stock. They never run out of cash. They are always there, and their business is thriving. Now, what did we do as a community not to be able to carry on doing business together? And I think in the Black community mainly, if you follow history, we are used to working together. We used to supporting each other. I mean, a case of in our community, there's no illegitimate child. All children will be taken care of. Now, where did we go wrong? That now we lost it. We can't even work together. We can't even trust each other in doing business together. And that was a sore point, trust. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. Trust is a tricky one. It is definitely a tricky one. I mean, we can't just randomly skip through a field of daisies and just trust everyone. Life is not like that. It just doesn't work that way. Trust is something that takes time to build. It's one of those things where if we misuse trust, we end up in very dangerous waters. So this is where we've got to be very selective as to who we surround ourselves with. And then we've got to be very selective as to how we select those people. So I think it's not just limited to the South African Black community. And when you talk about the Somalis sticking together, they are rocking that space in regards to how they work as a community. And there's only one way to go about it: learn from them. I mean, what else can we do? They seem to be doing it right. It's a place that we can actually learn a lot. Heidi, I've seen you have a conversation at a high level while peeling carrots, which was the most honest conversation we've ever had or seen. That was absolutely brilliant. What would you like to add to this conversation?
So thank you for exposing me. Thank you, Peter. Yes, as much as I value the input of everyone around trust, and for me, one other aspect is energy. If we work with people that's on our energy wavelength, because it's been a very big frustrator for me working with people that are slow or not bringing the energy to the project, and people who don't do their part, or they reserve their energy waiting for you to make the first move so that they can step in and then add value. I love that when energy comes about and there's sparks and that's all that energy, even if there's quarrels, it brings about that norming, so I say the storming and the norming, because it brings both cohesiveness, so that the energy, if you in a team that have different skill sets, but we all bring that energy and we maintain that energy, or when the energy gets low, you get someone that can bring the energy up, and when the energy is too high, you get someone that can calm the energy down. So that, for me, a very important factor is the management of the energy and the flow of keeping that drive, the passion, or the deadlines. It shouldn't just be deadline driven. It should be around small mini deadlines or things so that there's consistent energy drivers. So that for me is a factor.
Well, I think that if anyone knew what they were talking about in regards to the energies within a team, I know that you've run some really high-end, large-scale corporate projects, and coming from that space, do you think that entrepreneurs from around the world can actually learn from that space?
Oh, yes. What I found is, like, I was brought in to help a small business who had just succeeded in getting 10 million rand grow in a quick space of time to 600 staff, from 60 staff to 600 staff. And you cannot use the same principles. However, you can still be what they call intimate in a large group. Because if you keep to your core values and you keep to the plan, and everyone has the vision and they share the vision, then a big corporation can work the same as a small corporation, because that energy, that I'm going back to energy, but that vision and that where they find themselves in the cog or in the spikes of the bicycle, we all make the circle turn. You make the wheel, we make the vehicle move forward. So everyone has their part to play. They bring that their side, hulle bring hulle kant, they bring their themselves to their space and bring it fully, and because they can see themselves in the bigger picture. It doesn't matter if you're 3 people, if you're 300 people, if you're 3,000 people. If you find yourself in the space and you know what you're driving forward, that will push everyone to get to the end result.
100%. 100%. You know the funny thing is, I think I knew what your answer was going to be before I asked, and then you answered with the answer I thought it would be, which is absolutely brilliant. And for those of you that don't speak Afrikaans, she meant for those of you that bring your side to the party. We do have some global guests in the space, but you know what? Stay true to your roots, because Afrikaans is a living legend. Neil, let's bring you back into this conversation. I so rudely just disappeared while we were having our last conversation.
Hi. Yeah, on the subject of trust, the first job I ever did was working in a ship insurance underwriters company. And it was there that I learned that trust is cultural. Working with people in London, I could literally trust their telephone call. If they gave me their word, they would deliver no matter what happened afterwards. And I could bore you with a story that illustrates that. Working with the Greeks, they would sort of keep their word, but they would also keep hold of their money. It was crazy. We would end up deducting the premiums they owed us from the claims they made. So, there was that sort of thing. However, on a personal level, if you made friends with a Greek, they would give you anything, literally a shirt off their back if you were that sort of friend. But so there was a difference between the business head and the personal head. And so you went further east into the Arabia, you had to tie them down hard. And you had to have everything down in paper first, because people would disappear. And so culture is a key factor in trust. And if you want to build trust, you first have to build the culture that values trust.
Well, and culture actually plays a really huge role. I'm actually glad you mentioned it. And I recall actually hearing the story where somebody went into a butchery in some part of the world, but where the culture was, it's extremely community orientated. So he walked into the butchery, stood at the back, and the butcher was like, I'm taking out the ham, who wants ham? And then 10 people put up their hands, and there was no queue. And then while he was cutting ham, all the people that wanted ham would get ham. And then he was like, okay, next I'm cutting this. Who wants this? And then other people would put up their hands, and then still there was no queue, but they got what they wanted. And then this person decided that they would go to the UK, they'd walk into a butchery, and then they would step out of the queue and say to the butcher, well, while you're cutting the ham, could I please have so many slices? And everybody was like, how dare you, step back in line. So you've got different cultures from around the world. They function in different ways.
If they experienced that in a butcher's in Britain, it was in the south of England.
Probably.
In other parts of the country, particularly smaller village butchers and places like that, you would have been able to still do that.
Well, speaking about England, we have our own queen. Linda, join us for a spot of tea.
Yeah, I've just finished my tea. Thank you. Morning, everyone. I've been listening with great interest today. I'm usually the first one to put up my hand, but I thought I'll just sit back for a while. It's quite interesting to do that. Some of you I haven't met yet, so I think we overdue for some virtual cuppers anyway. So I wanted just to take a slightly different aspect to this question of what can small business owners do to support one another. A lot of my thoughts are around
learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I don't mean learning as in book learning or reading white papers and that sort of thing. It's more about what you learn from every interaction, from every experience, from failure, from success. You know, many of you do know, and some of you don't, so I'm going to introduce you. I have my very own Glee jar. So it's like got a little smiley face on it. And inside this jar, you can see there's a whole lot of colorful pieces of paper folded up. And what happens is, I think it's so, so important to celebrate some of the wins in your small business. And I'm sharing this with you now as a tool that you can use, any of us can use. It doesn't have to be a jar, it can be a journal or a picture book or something. But for me, it's the jar. So the Glee jar I share with all of you. You can all buy one. You can get them from Checkers or Dion or where, you know, any game. You can buy them for, have you got one, Chris? I thought you were going to reach for your Glee jar. But the point is that every time something really good happens, and it might just be, I just had a fabulous time on the Explore Protech coffee shop today, and I learned something new. You write it on this little piece of paper, fold it up, put the date on, by the way, and then stick it in here. And whenever you have those downtimes, because we all do, right? Every single one of us. I can't believe actually since I've been a business owner, they come more frequently. Those times when you think, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough clients, nobody's paying me, I don't know if I really know what I'm doing. And it's not, you know, you do know what you're doing. Those clients will come if they haven't already, and you will get paid if only you had that sort of positive attitude. So in order to help you to have a positive attitude, do something like this, because the day that you feel down, you just do this, you know, and then you read a few of them and they say something like, I found my sunshine today. I had a wonderful conversation with a life coach, in this case, a life coach I'm working with, about love languages, telling stories, something called the gene keys, all sorts of things that I'm learning and then applying to my daily life. And the word glee, to finish up, means grow, learn, empower, enjoy. Grow yourself in life, learn as much as you can through interactions with others and experiences. Take that learning and empower others by sharing that. And above all, enjoy yourself, because life is not meant to be a hard freaking slog for 50 years. So please take time to enjoy yourself. That's it from Linda. Linda Dent, Just Ask Linda Business Coaching. I help my clients to pee with glee.
This may sound really strange, but I've been in Linda's jar. I think we've had a couple of moments where we've ended
many times. Explore Protech as Explore Protech is in the jar many times. Why? Because this is a space where you can find people who will support you and where you can learn so much. So that is why you're in the jar.
As long as I'm not getting pickled, it's okay. It's okay. Let me see. I know that we're running close to the end of our time. Let's just see if anybody's got some final comments that they want to add in. Chris, I see you got your hand up, or is it just still up? Is that a yes?
Trying to push too many buttons here in the background. The reason why my hand's up is also just a shout out to people who are live streaming. Karen Frith jumped in on the conversation, stating that energy is very important. People have different ways of showing up. The most important is that they know themselves so that they know where they should fit in as well. So I think that's quite relevant as well, talking about energy and how that comes. Also something that came up with the conversation, some of the themes that's been there is trust, which is important. How do you build trust? Well, you got to be authentically yourself, so get to know yourself. Have the right energy, because also if you want to pretend to be somebody else, if I pretended to be somebody else and set up a contract with Neil, and I pretend the whole process and the whole way through, then halfway through our project, it's not going to work. He's not going to benefit. I'm not going to benefit. Nobody wins. So authentically be yourself to help build that trust. Get your energy right. So you want to be connected with people who work in the same energy and same authenticity and the same intentions that you have. And also thirdly is culture. We have so many different culture. I mean, here within South Africa, so many different cultural subsects. Then you go into international. We've got an international global audience here. Somebody from the UK, and within the UK, where Neil is specifically, there's also a culture there. And Gordon in Canada, there's learn people. It's such a great opportunity at the moment to connect with people over the world and just genuinely want to learn about people, who they are, what their culture is about, and be courageous and put yourself out there, because you know that's how you build trust. That's how you build connections. Get your energy right and just be you. We have a saying in South Africa, just be lekker, which just means just be nice, just be cool, just be great, and the rest falls into place. And that's how we support each other and reminding each other to just be lekker. I taught you something today. Anyway.
Oh, awesome. Talking about just being lekker, I'm just going to remind the panel and the guests, just drop your LinkedIn links into the chat so that we can actually add your links into the description of this video. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, if somebody has actually said something that really just that tickles your fancy, or it's somebody you just really feel like you need to have a conversation with, their links will be in the description. Reach out and go, hey, I saw you on the coffee shop show. I'd really like to have a chat. It's so simple. Chris, where are we at for time?
We've got three to 5 minutes if you'd like to, but also something. Yeah, if you want to, but we can wrap here. And something I do want to share today, that's something that's happened as simple as a coffee shop conversation here. Megan has never met Heidi, but Megan heard what Heidi had to say. And Megan sat up and said, wait, I need to connect with Heidi. I in the background said, please don't, because you two will take over the world and get on too well. So we all won't be able to catch up. And that was the bait that was needed. So just from a conversation and showing up and being yourself, you got two amazing people connecting with each other. And yeah, hold on to your hats, people. There's big things that will come just from a simple conversation.
Awesome. You know what, Chris, I think on that note, I think this is where we are going to wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the panel as guests. It's been brilliant to have you in this space. And people out there, really, let's not do this on our own. Everybody, we can all do this together. And now we don't have to be limited to doing it within our own little community. Our community has gone global. So why not build relationships all around the world? They're right here. We're right here. You're out there. Come join us. Have some fun. And we'll catch you next time on the Coffee Shop Conversation Show. Have fun.